Do you ever find yourself ever wondering and looking? Are you going to be here in the video? Okay. Do you ever find yourself daydreaming and feeling so inspired by those businesses, athletes, or influencers that you see on social media, and you always think, how can I do that? Well, back in 2017, I found a brand that I fell in love with instantly. Babes Ride Out was somebody that I heavily was so inspired by. Even though they were a motorcycle brand, they were a women's gathering, I fell in love and I thought, how can I do that with what they were doing? How can I do that with women sledders, snowmobilers? I did the deep dive. I started digging through and really got immersed in Babes Ride Out, where I found that they were gathering like-minded women to hit the road, do a big weekend camp out. They had DJs, karaoke, they had fashion shows, and they had vendors, bike rentals, and there were coaches there to teach these motorcyclists how to ride. It was a space where all women could come together, no matter the ability, to hang out, to ride, and learn something new. And I craved that for myself because at the time, 2017, I believe that was my year 4 of sledding, and I found it so hard to find anything online, to find vlogs, videos on YouTube, to find blogs, any websites about women snowmobile. The content creation for dirt bike and snowmobile was next to nothing. There wasn't a whole lot of women sledding at that time. Now, there was Kelsey Faye, there was Ashley Chaffin. Now, those are the two girls that I immediately started following. But there was just a lack of community for women sledding at the time. So I was frustrated. I was frustrated with the community part, and I was also frustrated that I had to take a lot of time and experience learning how to set up my snowmobile for me. I was very frustrated that there was a lack of knowledge for women on how to set up their snowmobiles for them. Just like skis, just like snowboards, and a better example yet is driving a vehicle. You need to customize your seat. You need to either push forward or push your seat backwards in order to reach the gas and the brake pedals. You need to see over the dashboard. You need to see the road, basically, in order to drive safely. So why wouldn't we take that concept and put it into our snowmobiles? At the time, 3 years into sledding. So remember, I started sledding 11 years ago. And just to remind you, I am shy of 5 feet. At the time, snowmobiles came stock with 8 to 10 inch risers. So why wouldn't we take the concept of customizing our seat to drive a vehicle to then apply that into our snowmobile? Again, women that are 5 feet or 5'4", we're not going to be riding stock sleds that are meant for 6 foot plus men. No, we got to customize. We got to do a few things, a few tweaks to make our snowmobiles rideable for us in order to become a better rider. So I found that my frustrations and my pains came from that. And I wanted to create a place and space for women to come together to learn all of these things and to learn more about how we can customize our snowmobiles. How can we ride our snowmobiles? How can we collaborate and share tricks and tips together? Because one size does not fit all. Because of Babes Ride Out, I fell in love with their aesthetic, their vibes, their style, and just the way that they were bringing women together. I thought, how can I do that for me? How can I bring women together to ride, to hang out with like-minded women, to expose women to other riders that are at all levels, and how can we learn together as a group, as a community? So after much thought and planning and talking it out to all of my friends, I took the plunge, I jumped for it, and I started Braap Babes. And Braap Babes is a place and space for women to come together, to attend social rides that are women only specific, and to learn from one another and to ride together. So Braap Babes came to be in 2018, and we are going to chat about all of the events leading up to today. So grab your coffee and let's dive into my journey of organizing social rides for 7 years. Okay, let's go. So I started off in 2018 in the fall. It was October, and we started it with a meet and greet. Now, this was my very first time collectively gathering women together at a dealership, and we just chatted about what the season was going to bring as far as sledding, how we can get women out onto the snow, gain courage, and basically tell everyone, women, our goals for that year. Shortly after that, the next month, we organized a product review, sharing proper products like gear, sled suits, transceivers, avalanche backpacks, the difference between all of the brands and what you should carry on you and what you shouldn't, that sort of thing. And then after that, we hosted our women's only snowmobile setup, and Jessie Pois, my good friend, she went over her sled, gave a whole bunch of tips and tricks to women, and she brought her sled in. She did the overall review of bars, risers, track, seat, and then I also had my sled in there because, again, I am under 5 feet. Jessie, I believe, is 5'8". So there's quite a big difference there from an average size woman to a not so average size woman sled. And so I had the lower profile snowmobile that women could jump on and see the difference between my snowmobile and Jessie's. Now, 3 events into 2018, I was extremely proud that we created this movement of proper snowmobile setup and gear for women. And I do believe that it inspired so many women around the globe to do the same. And it's just a signature move that we made to start educating women on proper sled setup. Because again, this was nowhere to be had, to be learned online. And I'm very proud that we made that step. The end of 2018, we hosted a parking lot event where we learned how to load and unload our snowmobiles. Now, at that time, we had no snow, and I remember the parking lot was dry, it was gravel, but we still had about 5 or 6 women come to the event to gain confidence on loading and unloading their snowmobile. It's very intimidating. So I wanted to create a space where women felt safe and that we can come together again collectively and teach each other and support each other. This was the best way to start our season, I believe. We also learned how to do a belt change. My husband, Kenny, he did the demonstration, which was amazing. And then we move into 2019, which really did kickstart Braap Babes. We hosted a social ride every month starting in January, and then we did one in February and March, and they were very successful. We had a lot of fun organizing. We also learned as we went how to put on better events. Morning, Braap Babes. So I'm here at Rome, and I'm parking at the highway. So meet me in the parking lot. And then in April of 2019, we did a family barbecue with Powder Mountain Snowmobile Club. I believe there was about 80 to 100 people that came through. We had the barbecue up in the mountain, up in Brandywine Bowl, and we sold burgers and a drink for $5. And we ended up raising close to $1,000 for Snoworama, and is a charity for Easter Seals where they raise funds for kids with disabilities. I would also like to add that when I started Braap Babes, when this really kicked off, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with my second, and I still put on these events. I still rode my sled. I still shared some of my skills and experience with other women on how to just get familiar with their sled. So I was riding sleds until I was about 27 weeks pregnant. And yes, I started Braap Babes while I was pregnant. So just a highlight there. All right, so let's jump start from 2019 spring to then the fall. I had my baby girl, Billy Rose. She was born July 2019. And then October is when we went full tilt into events. So we did, I wrote this here. In October, I attended 3 open houses at local dealerships like GVP in Langley. We did one at No Limits in Squamish, and then Revolution Powersports in Whistler. I also hosted 4 off-mountain events with women's only snowmobile setups at GVP dealership. We did one at No Limits Motorsports. We did one at Revolution Powersports, and then Backcountry Motorsports in Pemberton. So that is 7 events in 3 months with a newborn. I brought Billy with me to all of them, okay? It's crazy to think that Billy has been a part of this whole process in the very beginning of Braap Babes. So that's pretty cool. I just realized that. All right, so January of 2020, we hosted a social ride in Coquihalla. We partnered with GVP from Langley, the dealership. We experienced that area. I've never been to Coquihalla, and that was really neat to see. In February, we hosted another women's social ride in Pemberton at the Rutherford, and we partnered with Backcountry Motorsports. And this was our biggest event. We had 28 women to be a part of the social ride. We had like 2 or 3 photographers. We had 2 videographers, and we captured some pretty epic content. And that is where we went to the ice caps, and we really got to explore, and I did some interviews because that's when my video that I've been working on, my very first women's only snowmobile video, came to life, and that's when I started interviewing women during that ride. Now this is very exciting. So March of 2020 is my very first women's only snowmobile retreat, and it was held at Black Tusk Snowmobile Club, and we used their chalet up in the mountains. So it was a sled in access where all the girls had to pack all their gear in sleds. We got to stay in their chalet. We had a private chef who cooked gourmet meals. And the first night when all the babes got there, they were able to ride in powder under the full moon, so you could see everything. It was pretty magical. We also had a yoga instructor up there, so we did yoga, and there's a pool table up there, so the girls played pool. Had lots of prizes, did a lot of fundraising for Snoworama. And all in all, it was such an epic weekend where so many women came to me after saying that it was rejuvenating. It fueled their soul, and they were just so stoked to experience an event like that. So I'm very proud of that women's only snowmobile weekend retreat. And that is what I was trying to aim for when I first saw Babes Ride Out, is I wanted to create a weekend where the babes came together. We got to sled. We also had No Limits Motorsports bring up some, 2021 snowmobiles that they got to experience or demo. Yeah, it was really a great time. And then shortly after that, well, we all know what happened in 2020. It was actually even that weekend, I think, when it started. The pandemic happened, and basically the whole world shut down. I had plans for that year to come out with a women's only snowmobile film. So I still had that project on the go, but because 2020, this pandemic, it was so new, we were all scared basically to meet up. So it was on a standstill. I still put together this women's sled film, and I think it still turned out pretty well. And it was exactly what I was trying to encompass with bringing women together. So I'm going to leave a link. You guys can check that out next. And that's over on my Braap Babes TV channel. At that time, so this was April of 2020, I hosted a digital movie premiere, and I collectively gathered women together to watch this movie, which was a really cool thing. I loved that we were able to come together digitally in some way, shape, or form. And after the premiere, we had a Q&A. We went live on Instagram, and we, again, brought so many women together to chat about sledding, to chat about our sled film, and also to, if they had any questions, we were there to answer them, because there was a lot of epic trials and errors, and the girls were sending it big for this film. So that was, again, something I'm super proud of, that we still came out on the other side when we didn't really know what was happening in the world. 2019 and 2020, I really felt like I cultivated a community where we came together to ride sleds, to learn about sleds, to learn about proper gear and proper sled setup. And then I was able to pivot and bring women together online, digitally. And I think that's where it all started, with this content creation for Braap Babes. I felt that we really gave women the courage to step up and to start trying new things with their sleds. I really felt like we were empowering other women to just go and do the damn thing. It really was a special moment for me, even though times were very weird. Later that year in the summer, I put on my very first motocross social ride and barbecue, which was a lot of fun, again during uncertain times, but it really felt so good to bring women together to do something fun and exciting. Because of the pandemic, we didn't do any in-house dealership sled setups, nothing. It was all kind of on halt. 2021 was not a good year for me, and nor was it for you or anyone else. I was personally facing some pretty big demons and also grieving. And so I just put a pause on social rides altogether. However, I did do a collaborative clinic with Steffi Schwartz, Mountain Labs and Camps, and we did that in Sycamore. So I got to be behind the scenes, and I photographed, did some videography, who were taking this clinic with Steffi. And it was really neat to be behind the scenes and really just focus in on the content itself. So I did still keep it low key. However, that July of 2021, I hosted my very first motocross dirt bike clinic. We brought in Danielle Pettis. I think I butchered her name wrong, but I'm going to put her name here. It was so awesome to see so many women interested in motocross. Now, we did this at our local dirt bike track here in Pemberton. And it was really cool, again, being behind the scenes, where I got to photograph and also capture video content for women sending it. I absolutely love seeing women push out of their comfort zone, out of their fears, and learning something new. That's got to be like my ultimate favorite thing to witness. 2021, I also came out with my second women's snowmobile film. And I hosted it again digitally. We did a premiere for it. That was November of 2021. So we were able to kickstart the preseason of sledding. And again, I really felt like we were capturing the true essence of kind of what was happening around the world, kind of the struggles that we face as women athletes. And another film that I sunk my heart and soul into, and I'm so proud of. So go check that out. Next, okay? That's over on my Braap Babes TV. So 2022, I did not host any social rides. I, again, took a step back. However, I did plan another women's snowmobile retreat, and that was over at Grizzly Lodge. Oh my God. Okay, this trip was a trip of a lifetime. If you want to gather women together to go sledding, doing something fun, make it over at Grizzly Lodge. Now, they're located, I want to say, near Sycamore. It's a sled in, so you have to haul all of your stuff into the lodge. The lodge itself was beautiful. You had bedrooms, you had heat, you had bathrooms that were attached to your rooms, and it was a luxury to have all of that up in the mountain. There was also a steam room, there was a hot tub. We also brought up a karaoke machine, which I think just topped off our weekend retreat. I really had the best time organizing this event, and I brought up 9 women together. And this was in April of 2022. We had great conditions. We had great guides who took us into some pretty gnarly terrain. And it was just so much fun to watch them ride. And also, they did not realize what kind of ladies we were going to be. And I must say, we were the first women's group to come together to Grizzly Lodge. Usually it's men that organize these events. So we were the first women's only group. And we were also the only group that had the most avalanche training. I believe there was one of us that didn't have their AST1, but everyone else had their avalanche training, which was pretty awesome. So yeah, go check that out next. I'm going to leave the link here. That was a pretty epic trip in itself. All right, so later that summer of 2022, I hosted another women's dirt bike, motocross, barbecue, and social ride, which was the end of August. And I am, again, just happy that I've been able to do both dirt bike and sled women's meetups. So that was really cool. 2023, we still did not do any in-house. I hosted my very first social ride after the 2 years. I did this with Powder Mountain Snowmobile Club in Whistler, and we had about 14 women come together, and it was still a lot of fun to see women come together after the pandemic. So that was really special to me. I have a video that you can check out, all the videos. All right, and then that May. Okay, so May last year, 2023, I hosted my very first camp out. Remember Babes Ride Out camp out? Yes, I wanted to somehow do this, but do this in a way where I didn't have to depend on other people, like other areas. So I hosted it in my backyard. If you didn't know, I have a dirt bike enduro park. I have 5 acres, and so I organized a weekend where we brought sleds and we brought dirt bikes, and girls were able to go sledding in the morning. And then after that, we hit the enduro park on our dirt bikes. To do 2 sports in one day is, it's a lot of work. Let's just say that. But how cool is it that I was able to create an event where women could do 2 sports. Now I call it a dual sport. However, dual sport is a whole other sport in itself. So we did sledding and dirt biking in one day, and then dirt biking the next day. And that leaves us here in 2024, where I hosted another social ride just a few weeks ago with Powder Mountain Snowmobile Club. Our snow conditions have not been the best. That day was raining. However, we got 23 women to come together to ride, to hang out, to meet one another. And despite the weather, we still had a really good time. It was all about the vibes. It was all about socializing. And I really think that we nailed that. Link here if you want to watch that video. That's kind of where I'm at right now. We are in February of 2024. And as I was kind of going through my social ride journey, I realized that it's been 7 years. 7 years of organizing and planning women's only snowmobile and dirt bike events. And over the course of these 7 years, I put on 22 social rides and 7 off-mountain events. And that includes the open houses and the snowmobile setups. And I produced 2 women's snowmobile films. And not to mention, I've been interviewing women athletes and enthusiasts that snowmobile and dirt bike online for the past 4 years, which sparked up my podcast, Braap Babes Throttle Talk. To say Braap Babes has been a journey is an understatement. Braap Babes to me is a community. It's a lifestyle, and it's my life. There are so many women that I need to thank, and I'm going to post all of their names over here on screen. They have gone through so much with me over the past 7 years. I have cried to them. I've shared moments with them. I celebrated with them. And without their support, I would not be here today. Let's just say that. So thank you to all of you who have been supporting me over these past 7 years. I love you all so very much. I wasn't sure if I was going to create this video because 7 years doesn't sound very special, or it doesn't sound like I've been doing this for a very long time. But when I think about it, 7 years is a long time. And to me, that's wild. I still can't believe that I've been putting in so much effort into gathering women to come together. And whether it's online or off mountain, in person, or during the social rides. I've been organizing, I've been planning, fundraising, supporting, gathering, collaborating with so many people for 7 years. I'm confident that the next 3 years are going to be just as good, if not better. And I can't wait to do a roundup on my 10-year mark of organizing events for women who snowmobile and dirt bike. So let's just say I'm not done yet. If you'd like to watch any of my social rides or any of my women's only snowmobile movies, weekend retreats, I have so much content over here on my personal channel. I also have my 2 women's snowmobile films on Braap Babes TV channel. So you guys can check that out next. Again, I sink a lot of my heart and soul into these videos. I hope you feel that too. And I just want to thank you for being here with me today and letting me share my journey with you, because it has been incredible. Lessons have been learned. And I'm just so excited to continue hosting and gathering women together to send it, to film it, to create content, and to just meet other like-minded women and just chat about our sports, because that's my favorite thing to do. And I'm just so honored and happy that we get to do that together as well. Okay, until next week, keep killing it safely, and I'll catch you next time.